Boo! Did I scare you? Did I scare you? I thought I might get you with that. Also, it's kind of like a pun because, you know, we're talking about boos today, and I said boo, and so it's kind of... Okay, I'll shut up. In the spirit of Halloween, I wanted to do a spooky themed video. And what's spookier than everybody's favorite video game ghost, Boo? Over the years, Nintendo has made a ton of different variations of these little guys. So I thought, why don't we show them some love? So today's video is dedicated to all those spooky spooksters out there. But before we start, what kind of a Halloween celebration would it be without a costume? Now we're ready. After doing my research and becoming a Boo expert, I have decided to divide all of the variants into four different categories. For the first category, I have what I like to refer to as normal-ish boos. These are boos that at their core are just boos, but have like slightly different tweaks to them. And of course, we can't talk about all the other variants without starting with the main little guy himself, the main spookster of the series, Boo. Boo made his first appearance in Super Mario Bros. 3 and since has been a staple in the Mario series, being included in countless main and spin-off titles. This guy has been everything from an enemy to a playable character to even an item in Mario Kart. It's also safe to say that Boo has pretty much cemented himself firmly into the Mario series. Almost every new Mario game, the devs decide to make a place completely dedicated to boos and other ghosts, at least having one or two haunted house levels or worlds in each game. Red boos are boos, but red. Shocker, I know. However, even though they look basically identical, they have quite different functions. They appear in Super Mario Sunshine, and they aren't hostile towards Mario. Instead, they just kind of sit in one spot and wait for Mario to spray them with Flood. Once Mario hits them with any water, they'll turn into a platform for Mario to use, and then eventually just go back to being a boo. Gold boos are boos, but gold. Guys, I swear, please stay. It gets more interesting than this. These guys appear in New Super Mario Bros. 2 and they don't really do that much. If Mario touches a gold ring in a ghost house, then these guys will appear and just start running from Mario while leaving a trail of coins behind them. Dark boos are found in the Paper Mario series and are just effectively stronger boos. They tend to appear in giant groups, but they're pretty rare within the Paper Mario series, only appearing in a couple worlds throughout all of the games. However, they don't stop there because if you're unlucky enough, you'll stumble across dark boos. These guys are basically the same as dark boos, except they don't stop at just beating the snot out of you. They also go as far as to rob you of your items. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, they are darker than dark boos. Bomb boos are probably one of my favorite out of all of the boo variants, sporting a sleek black and yellow color scheme. These guys first appear in the boss fight against Bouldergeist in Super Mario Galaxy. During the fight, Bouldergeist will hurl rocks at you, and in the process, throwing some black rocks. The black rocks, once they hit the ground, will explode and turn into bomb boos, which you can then grab by the tongue and just start swinging around like you're a big old rodeo cowboy. Then if you swing a bomb boo around and you hit Bouldergeist with it, it'll blow him up. One of the best looking variants and easily one of the coolest ways to use a boo out of any other variant. Mad boos are basically the exact same as boos, except the opposite. Let me explain. These guys appear in Super Princess Peach, and rather than chasing Peach when she isn't looking at them, they're high on drugs and chase Peach while she is looking at them. And the drugs part isn't a joke. They're literally high off of something called the rage vibe. I want you to try to convince me that's not a drug. And finally, to finish off this section, we have Boo Buddy Swarms, Boo Buddy Lines, and Boo Buddy Circles. All three of these essentially are the same function, just they take on different shapes. Boo Buddy Swarms are just big old clusters of boos. Boo Buddy Snakes are boos that are in a line like a snake. And Boo Buddy Circles are boos lined up in a circle. You get the gist. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's also nothing special about the ghosts in these different shapes, whatever you want to call them. They're literally just normal boos all grouped together, but technically I guess they count as their own entity, so I threw them on the list. For the next category, I decided to lump all the big boo variants into one group. These are boos that could probably qualify for the next season of My 600 Pound Life. Big boos are big boos. Nothing more needs to be said. If you can't figure that out, that's a you problem. Bigger boos are bigger okay, seriously, who wrote this? What's next? Biggest Boo? I got you. You thought his name was gonna be Biggest Boo. You thought it was gonna be Biggest Boo. Nah, but seriously, his name's just Boohemoth, and he's just another big boo, just a different face. Still not that interesting. Balloon boos are essentially big boos that will just suck in air, inflating themselves to make themselves even bigger. Then, once Mario isn't looking, they'll release all the air and shoot towards Mario in an attempt to murder him. Balloon boos are also not to be mistaken by boo balloons. You can probably make a mental image in your head of what a boo balloon looks like, but just in case, here's one. Boolossus has the unique ability in the fact that he is actually just 15 boos combined into one. In Luigi's Mansion, he's able to just split up into a bunch of boos and then rejoin basically whenever he wants to. He's basically kind of just like a less cool Wishy-Washy. Sleepy boos literally do nothing except for sleep in the worst possible spots. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that all they do is sleep. They literally only sleep. That is their only function. In Super Mario Sunshine, they'll literally sleep in front of areas that you need to get to, and the only way to get rid of them is to have Yoshi eat them. How can Yoshi eat ghosts? Don't ask me. I have no idea. I'm not qualified to answer that question. I'm a business major. King Boo is probably one of, if not the most recognizable variant of Boo, considering that every game he's appeared in, he's been either a final boss or a playable character of some sort. Quick side note, he's also my personal favorite character to play as in Mario Kart, so woo, extra points for him. King Boo is really just a pimped out Big Boo, sporting a crown and the look of a man who hasn't slept in 10,000 years. This guy also has the perk of being the king and ruler of all of the boos. How do you get that title? I don't really know, but it's still cool. And finally, for the last boo in this category, we have the Spooky Speedster. This guy appears in the Mario Galaxy games, and literally all he wants to do is race Mario. Like, that's his entire life purpose. He could care less about the fate of the universe, whether Bowser gets it or Mario gets it. As long as he gets to do what he wants and win a race, he's chilling. Although when you race him, you fly through a maze of bones, so I have my own theory that if anybody loses to him, he just kills them and then changes up the race course to spice it up every time. Kind of makes him scarier than almost any movie monster I've ever heard of. For the third and smallest category, we have a group of boos who have a little bit more personality to them. Relatively speaking, there are very few boos who've actually been granted the ability to free thinking, so we're gonna go over a few of them here. Bootler is this dapper looking spooky man. He appears in Paper Mario, where he politely invites Mario to come to Boo's mansion and then promptly threatens him if he says no. But I mean, aside from that, he's a pretty great guy. I mean, look at him. He probably does some cool services and whatnot. I'm sure he's fine. We all have our moments. And Bootler actually serves the next boo on this list, that being Lady Bow. After going to Boo's mansion, you actually unlock Lady Bow as your 5th ally in the game. This grants you the ability to be able to turn invisible, go through platforms, avoid enemies, and in combat, she'll just slap the frick out of anybody you tell her to. To round out the little trio that we have going, I decided to put Frankie on this list. There's not really much special about him. He's just a normal looking boo, aside from the fact that he was absolutely down bad for Lady Bow, so I guess that gives him a little bit of special pizzazz. Okay, look at these next two boos and tell me what you think they do for a living. Yep, that's right, they're cashiers. Lala and Pika are Boo sisters that work at different shops in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I'm still kind of shocked that Nintendo could get away with putting two Boos dressed as sexy cat maids in a Mario game, but you know, I'm not gonna stop them. And finally, for the last one in this category, we have Captain Boo. Captain Boo is actually a part of a trio, with the other two members being Captain Goomba and Captain Shy Guy. At first, Captain Boo is literally just a normal Boo, and he's working under Iggy when he gets brainwashed and starts going absolutely ham. However, despite being told that Iggy is insane, Boo just kind of like goes along with it because he's like, it's fine, it's just Iggy, I'll do what he says. However, as the game goes on, Captain Goomba and Captain Shy Guy finally get some free thinking thoughts in this dude's brain, and he's like, you know what, maybe Iggy isn't all that great. That allows him to break free and become his own person and join their little trio of captains they got going on, which is kind of cute in my opinion. I love these three. And finally, for our last category, we have what I like to refer to as random or one-off boos. These are boos that differ pretty pretty heavily from regular boos in both appearance and behavior. These are also enemies that don't really have boo in the name, but when I went to the wiki, we're technically a part of the boo family, so I'm just kind of throwing some of them in here too. Peepas made their first appearance in Super Mario 3D Land and have since been in quite a few Mario titles. These guys usually come in groups, and rather than being able to chase Mario all around the map, they're kind of locked in a position, sometimes moving, sometimes not. Personally, I much prefer the regular boo design to these guys. I mean, they can be cute. Bruisers are boos that have been beefed up on steroids, given boxing gloves, and now have the ability to punch through bricks like it's no one's business. These things actually used to terrify me as a child. I used to have nightmares where I would hear noises in my house, and when I would walk around to go find what the noise was, I'd get jump scared by a bruiser that would just start chasing me around, trying to beat the ever-living frick out of me. Looking at them now, I think they're pretty cool, and I think that they're very unique when it comes to the boos. However, I'm still never gonna forgive them for the past trauma they gave me when I was a kid, so. Frame boos only appear in one level in Yoshi's Woolly World, and they have pretty much the same function as normal boos. However, if Yoshi hits them with a yarn ball, they kind of puff up like a balloon and start floating away. I don't really know how that works either, to be honest. I'm just telling you what the wiki said. They actually have a pretty unique design when it comes to most boo variants, looking like the outline of a boo, hence the name, I guess. I should have put 2 and 2 together there. Boo blocks are boos that can turn into blocks. Wait, is that really it? Okay, so I put these guys in the wrong category. Let's just throw them back into the normalish boos categories and act like this didn't happen. Booman Bluffs are boos that have very clearly adapted to live with their disability. These guys have the unique attribute of being blind, so they actually have to detect Mario only on sound. And in case you were wondering if boos even have the ability to hear in the first place, Nintendo decided to make that very clear with the big ol' elf ears that they threw on this thing. Fishin' boos seem to be the most hateful out of the bunch towards Mario. I mean, the wiki literally says that they relentlessly stalk Mario, which I find to be a little insane even by boo standards. Plus, instead of trying to fly around and bump into Mario, they actually just glide around and throw fire at them in hopes to burn Mario alive. How they're carrying fire around in a giant wooden mansion like it's no big deal, I have no idea. Eeries are little dino ghosts, and they're easily the cutest version of boos. Other than their very obvious appearance difference, the only reason they really differ from regular boos is the fact that they fly in either super straight lines or they fly in lines that would cause them to fail every DUI test. Octoboos take on the look of Octoombas from the Mario Galaxy series. They really don't function in a very special way. In fact, they act exactly like the Boo Circle groups that the Boo Buddy Swarm. The only difference is that they have a little bit more space pizzazz. I don't know. For the record, Octoombas and their other variants have always thrown me off. Even as a kid, I thought they were a really weird design, so not really a fan of these guys. Stretches are boos that hide in both platforms and floors, waiting for Mario to stumble across them. And once he does, they'll just manifest and start scurrying around on the ground. There's also another variant of them called Jelly Boos that also function basically the exact same, and they appear in all the Yoshi games. Both of these guys are just inferior to boos in every way, especially because of the fact that they can't actually fly around and are just stuck to the ground. I kind of feel a little bad for them. Free my boy Stretch. So in case anyone was wondering what happens if a Goomba and a Boo decided to get their freak on, congratulations, you won this horrendous abomination. This thing is called a Terrakuribo? Terrakuribo. They act basically just like boos, except they have the added feature of not being scared when Mario looks at them and will just keep charging towards him. However, to be honest, I think that's accurate because if I saw one of these in person, I don't think it would be scared of me. I would be way more scared of it and run the complete opposite direction. If these really existed in the real world, I would probably never go outside again. And finally, for our last boo of the video, we have Hammer Hammer Knights. These guys appear in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, specifically on the Twisted Mansion track. These are suits of armor that have been possessed by boos, and if a driver comes too close to them, they'll swing a giant steel hammer and try to smash them. Not gonna lie, I really like these guys and their design. Only problem being, I wish I had a suit of armor now, so I'm kind of jealous of them for that. There are still a lot more variants that I didn't talk about. However, most of them are either just bigger versions of variants we talked about, or they're just way too similar to other variants that they don't really warrant being talked about. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this super spooky video. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. That lets me know that you're enjoying the content and you want to see more of this kind of stuff. I don't know if you want to see any more of this, and I kind of hope not, because it's really hot. Wait, I forgot a boo on the script. What did I miss? What the frick?